So we think, the future of play-to-earn games is unlocking the broader gaming community. And the way to do that is to remove those barriers to
Mhm.
entry. And, we think that blockchain games so far have done a great job with how they've structured their games, but they're limited, I think, in their reach. And I think that they've
Totally.
set themselves up in the reverse order where they're asking people to invest in the game before they've even played the
Mm.
game. And
Yeah. Yeah, big
I think that's
time.
fraught with all kinds of problems.
Hey, what's up, guys? Frugal BC here, and we're here today with Matty Blanchard. He is the CEO, founder of Cosmic Champs. How you doing today, Matty?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. So I learned something just today listening to the last Twitter Spaces that I didn't realize that Cosmic Champs. And by the way, for everyone that's watching, Cosmic Champs is a blockchain-based game. It's going to be on the Algorand blockchain, and it's coming out pretty soon. You can check out my video. I'll put a link to it up above there, whichever side it pops up on. But I just learned that it's a real-time game. It's not a turn-based game. Tell me a little more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So there were a couple of big problems that we saw with existing blockchain games that we were hoping to resolve with Cosmic Champs, and one of them is exactly that. Most of the blockchain games out there are turn-based, whereas most free-to-play games that people are downloading from their app stores on their smart devices are real-time games, right? They're
Mhm.
fast-paced, it's fun, exciting gameplay, and we didn't think that the blockchain games reflected the modern gameplay design. And so we wanted to build a game that had that at its core. We use players will want games like that. It's not that players prefer turn-based games. I think that
Mm.
a lot of blockchain games have been developed by blockchain developers, not game developers. And
Sure.
my co-founder Simon is a game developer himself, so he comes in with that experience building games. And so we're building it with modern design principles in mind from the beginning.
Is it a challenge to do a real-time game on the blockchain when there's a blockchain element involved, or does it not make that much of a difference?
There's definitely more complexity, but I'm not a
Mm.
developer myself, so you'd have to ask Simon, my
Gotcha.
co-founder, that. But there is
Gotcha.
definitely more complexity involved, but there's ways of
Mm.
reducing that. I think that one of the big issues is going to be, how often does the player interact with the blockchain? So
Mhm.
is it after every single battle that they claim their rewards on chain, or will it be stored in, say, a custodian wallet, and then they opt into the assets and claim them whenever they want to? So that would reduce friction, right? Doing it that
Yeah.
second way, because
Mhm.
there'd be fewer interactions for the user on the blockchain. And I think the future of blockchain is that it is hidden behind the scenes. It's just integrated seamlessly into products, and users don't really know that they're interacting with the blockchain, but it's there, and they're getting all the functionality and benefits of having the blockchain underlying it all.
Yeah, I agree with that a lot. Actually, I think that's kind of my vision for the blockchain future too. It's why I think like stuff like the FIFA partnership with Algorand is such a great thing because for most people they're not going to be able to do like these really complicated processes on the blockchain. So FIFA is going to have to make that really user friendly, which is going to start leading towards that
Totally,
ecosystem. So yeah, no, we're definitely on the same page on that. I also wanted to
totally.
ask about you mentioned on the Twitter Spaces that it will be essentially free to play, and you'll be able to play without necessarily taking part in the blockchain aspect and the play to earn aspect if you don't want to. Can you kind of talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. Yeah. So the second issue that I mentioned two issues that we're hoping to resolve with Cosmic Champs, and the second one is making it
Mhm.
easy as possible to onboard new users, and particularly those who aren't already crypto natives. Most of the gamers in the
Mhm.
world aren't interacting with blockchain on a regular basis, or not intentionally anyway. And so we think, the future of play-to-earn games is unlocking the broader gaming community. And the way to do that is to remove those barriers to
Mhm.
entry. And, we think that blockchain games so far have done a great job with how they've structured their games, but they're limited, I think, in their reach. And I think that they've
Totally.
set themselves up in the reverse order where they're asking people to invest in the game before they've even played the game. And
Yeah,
I
big
think that's
time.
fraught with all kinds of problems. And one of the major limitations is that most people who aren't crypto natives aren't going to want to spend money on a game, and in some cases, a lot of money on a game before they've ever played it. We think that players should be able to use a game first, grow a love, develop a love for the game, and once they like the game, they can decide whether they want to buy into the assets of the game or not.
Yeah, I remember when I had the thought that, hey, maybe I'll check out this Axie Infinity thing. And then I learned that, oh, if I want to check it out, I need to drop like $1,000 on
Yeah,
these
yeah.
critters for a game I've never played before. I thought that seemed a bit insane to me. So yeah, no, I appreciate that aspect. And
Totally.
yeah, there's not many other games doing it. The only other one, I've been playing Townstar, and that one, that one you can play without buying any NFTs or anything like that. Of course, if you want to earn, you do have to buy an NFT to play it. They are pretty expensive, but I wonder if you could
Yeah.
talk about, and maybe these details haven't necessarily even been worked out, but like maybe you can talk about like how much the NFTs will be roughly, or if we have like a ballpark range for them, and how much they'll affect gameplay.
Yeah, but before I answer that question, I want to add something else to the last
Oh,
one,
sure. Go ahead,
and that was
please.
just about the ease of access to our game, and removing those barriers, and the zero cost of entry. So players of our game will be able to earn. They'll be able to play to earn
Okay.
without spending anything. So you don't need to buy our NFTs ever, and you'll still be able to play to earn. You don't need to spend anything in the game, and you'll still be able to play to earn. And you'll be earning as soon as you download the app and start playing, regardless of whether you connect a wallet or not. Those assets will just start accumulating into a custodian wallet, and you'll see them reflected in the app. And at any point in time, you can connect a wallet or set up a wallet yourself and claim those assets that have accumulated in your account. So it really is a free to play to earn game, and no investment is required at all for the play to earn part of the game. But as you
Gotcha.
pointed out earlier, if you don't want to engage with the blockchain, you just don't connect a wallet, and you'll never have any interactions at all with it. And those assets will sit there. You'll see them in your account, but if you don't claim them, then they'll never become yours.
Gotcha. Yeah, and
And
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no.
Well,
I
I
was
was
just
just
going to
gonna,
move on to the next question.
yeah,
So
I was just gonna ask you about, so the NFTs, I think you said in the last Twitter space that it would be, it sounded like it basically helps you with gameplay. It gives you a slight boost in gameplay, but not necessarily earning. Is that correct? Or if not, yeah, please correct me.
yeah, so there's lots of different types of NFTs in the game. One of the main ones is the champs, which are the players or the characters that you'll battle with in the arenas. And yeah, owning the NFTs will give them unique stats, or different stats from the base models. So they're the base models and the non-NFT versions of them. And so there will be variations in those stats that are attributed to each of the characters, and some will be more powerful, and some will be more powerful than others. There'll be a bit of variance there, but it's not going to be so great that it becomes a pay to win or pay to play
Yeah.
game. We want to avoid that situation, but there has to be some incentive for people to spend in the game. The in-game economy has to offer some utility, otherwise nobody would ever spend in the game, and the game will never won't have a future. We can't continue developing it. So there's going to be some small boost to the stats, but not such a huge advantage that players with a superior strategy who don't have NFTs won't be able to win. So we really want to make sure that balance is right, so nothing's too overpowered.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say that because I've been talking with, I've talked with a few different game developers on the blockchain, and just from doing a lot of reading in the space too, it seems like it's a pretty tough balance to hit. Is that a fair characterization?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Every game is constantly rebalancing. It's not that you ever find the perfect level, because new features, new characters are constantly being added into a game. And so you see games that have been running for 10 years or more, and they're still having to rebalance. It's just an ongoing
Right.
process.
And then you have this blockchain element, these economics to balance as well. That's got to be challenging.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. A lot of work is going into trying to get that mix right. And, I don't think we're going to have it perfectly tuned as soon as the game comes out, but it is an
Sure.
iterative process that every game goes through.
And then so the game is the beta version, and it's going to be a closed beta. If I remember you saying right, that's due at the end of June. Is that right? Hopefully, that's the
Yeah,
goal. Yeah,
that's the goal. Yeah,
so
closed
pretty.
beta at the end of June, and people who so our first season of NFTs will be dropping in what's the date now? Probably around a couple of weeks, and so
Gotcha.
anyone who buys one of those NFTs will have basically a ticket into the closed beta. So it'll be priority will be given to those people who hold NFTs that want to play the game first, and then we'll have an open beta after that.
Gotcha. And then when does the game release? Like when the version 1.0, I guess. What's the target on that?
Target is for late the following quarter, so about 3 months later.
That's
So
do you
a
feel
lot
like
of
that's
testing and,
yeah.
and rebalancing will take place during the beta phases. And
So
then we'll
are you guys working like crazy hours right now?
yeah, we've got a team of people. Someone's always working. We've got a team of probably 15 people at the moment who are working around the clock on it.
Wow, that's
It's a
amazing.
big task. There's so much
It
complexity
is.
building a game.
I guess to kind of go back to the beginning, like what inspired you to get involved in making a blockchain game in the first place? Like what was the path that kind of led you there, and what made you think, yeah, this is what I put my efforts into?
Yeah, good question. So a friend of mine had a game studio a few years back, and he was building just free to play mobile games. They didn't integrate blockchain at all. And Simon, my co-founder, he was working for this game studio that was run by a friend of mine, and he was the lead game developer there. And so we met through that. I was helping out, just doing some basic consulting and beta testing and various things for them. And so we met there, and I'm not a dev myself, but I've been, a lifetime gamer. So I've always been around games and love games. And we just started talking about, we saw play to earn pop up, and we started talking about the possibility of creating a play to earn game outside of that game studio on our own. And he had a loose idea for a game, and I helped fine tune and develop the idea, and I built all the play to earn economy of the game as well. So it really just started as a casual conversation while he was working this other job for a friend of mine building free to play games.
And then tell me about the challenges of getting something like this off the ground, because I mean, it seems like so much work and so much it's a pretty big risk, right? Like, I mean, you're kind of putting all your life energy into this one thing in kind of a new space.
Totally. I think I guess the biggest risk is the funding part, at least initially anyway. Am I going to work on this thing over years for free and with no funding and no team behind me, which would be very, very, very challenging, right? One person building a real-time strategy game like this would take years and years and years. And honestly, one person probably doesn't have all the skills to do all that anyway, because you need 3D, you need all the concept art, you need to create all the lore in the world, you need to create the 3D models and the 3D environment, you need to build the UI. There's so many things involved, and one person just doesn't have that skill set. So it is a very expensive endeavor. So I think initially we developed it for maybe 6 months on our own, just the two of us. And with the help of our concept artist now, he was doing just some really casual work with us then. And then we started pitching for funding. We just realized pretty quickly that we couldn't do it without funding. So we started pitching to VCs, and that took another 6 months to get funded. That was a challenging process, and we didn't have a lot of contacts in the blockchain community. So it was really down to one person that we knew making an intro, and we pitched to them over maybe 3 months, and that went nowhere. At the end of it, they said, "Oh no, we like the idea, but come back to us when it's a bit more developed." And we pitched to them probably 5 times over 2 or 3 months, and then we just kept working on it over the next 2 months. And then out of the blue, this VC messaged us and said, "Hey, there's this accelerator program that we think you'd be really good for. Do you want to do it?" So we joined that accelerator program. It was an Algorand and Draper University accelerator program last year. and there was a demo day at the end, so we got to pitch to 150 VCs there, and luckily we had enough interest to oversubscribe our sale, and that really shifted things. So I think initially the
That's
hard part is getting that funding to make it
mhm.
viable and to allow you to realize it in the way that you want it to be realized. And beyond there, it's building the team. It's really hard to find skilled people in this space because there's so
Mhm.
many projects out there snapping up good people as soon as they appear on the market. So it's very, very challenging building that strong team around you.
Yeah, and the technology hasn't been around that long, so there's still, I think, a dearth of, people who are working in this space. I know a lot of talented
Oh
people
yeah.
are starting to go into Web3, which is really interesting, but it's not like, there's been Python for how many years, how many decades, or Java or JavaScript, but
Yeah,
people can code in blockchain, various languages that are associated with that. Yeah,
absolutely.
that's a whole nother ball game. So
Yeah,
you
smart
guys
contract developers have been very hard to find.
I bet. I
Very,
bet.
yeah.
You guys are all in Australia, or do you get a little spread out?
Yeah,
That's
with
like,
Noah
well,
spread out. So I'm here in Australia and in Queensland, the sunny state of Australia. And my co-founder Simon, he's in Slovenia, so he's over in Europe.
ah, gotcha.
So we've never actually met in person.
Is that
We've
right?
only met over Zoom.
Oh wow.
But
we
that's the modern world we live in, right? You can have a
yeah,
distributed team and
definitely.
things can work really well, even though
Mhm.
you've never actually been physically in the same
Mhm.
location before.
Oh yeah. Well, I just think it's amazing. Here's a guy in the Northwoods of Wisconsin and US, and here I'm talking to a game developer in Australia. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing.
Cool stuff. And you guys chose to dox yourself. You put your identities online. Tell me why you made that choice and why it was important to you.
I think it's so important in this
Mhm.
space just to build trust in the community. There's a lot of projects out there that do the wrong thing. There's a lot of bad actors out there. There's
Mhm.
a lot more good projects, right? But there's enough bad actors out in the space that there's a very low
Mhm.
level of trust in teams that aren't docs. So we were
Yeah.
happy to put our faces and our identities out there. We want to build. We're here for the long term, and we want to build a strong community of people that love the project and support the project. And so we think it's essential to dox yourself to achieve that.
Mm. Was there ever any doubt you would do that? Were you sure right from the beginning that you would? Because I'm actually surprised at how many projects don't do that.
Yeah, we no, we always planned to. We,
Mhm.
we worked on the project for quite a long time, 8, 9, 10 months before we made anything public. And
Yeah.
pretty soon after we, officially launched the project and made it public and started building our community, we doxed ourselves. That
Mhm.
was always the plan.
Yeah, I think there's with the Anaran situation recently, I think there's a lot more sensitivity to that. And I know I've been mindful of that when I do a video on a project to make that clear to people, because I think that's really important. I'm glad I never did a video on Anaran. One of my policies, and I don't always follow it, but most of the time I don't do a video on a project unless it's something I can actually get in and tinker around with.
Yeah,
But there's some
yeah,
gaming stuff that I'm just too excited about, that I've been like, Cosmic Champs is one where I'm like, this is
yeah.
has the potential to be so cool that I feel like I gotta do some stuff on it. And yeah, so I think it's great that you guys are doing that. Were you pretty happy with the token sale? Did it work out the way you'd hoped it would?
Oh yeah, we were very happy with it.
Mhm.
We launched the token, a lot of liquidity got added, the price went up a little bit and stabilized and sat there until the whole market crashed
Right.
a week or two ago. It
Yeah.
just kind of sat flat around that same price point. It was amazing to see, people in the community obviously like what we're doing and had faith in the project that they would buy some tokens and hold on to them.
Mhm.
So that was wonderful to see. So we're very, very happy.
Awesome. Yeah, I got a few myself, so keep our fingers crossed, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I wanted to ask you, what games were you inspired by when when you guys designed Cosmic Champs, or conceived of it, and what game would you say it's most like, if that's different?
Yeah, so the game that we're inspired by and the game that it's most like is Clash Royale. I've been playing that game for a long time, too long. It's still, I open up the app sometimes, I'm like, why am I still playing this? It's still got me hooked. It's just such a well designed game. It just keeps me coming back. I've been playing. I think I've been playing it for 5 or 6 years now. So it's been a very long time. So
Nice.
our game is inspired by Clash Royale. It's not going to be exactly the same, but there's going to be
Mhm.
noticeable similarities. We think that they've done an amazing job building a style of gameplay that's captivating, exciting, it's fun, it keeps people coming back and wanting more. And so, we're kind of starting with that as a foundation and using that to inspire what we're designing now. But we're also inspired by Axie Infinity.
Oh
They,
yeah.
yeah, not in the gameplay style of gameplay, but more in the blockchain elements of things, the play to earn aspect of things. So they were, the first big play to earn game, and they really
Mhm.
did an amazing job of breaking out beyond the crypto sphere and bringing in a lot of new users into crypto. And part of that was through educating users, even though they had all these barriers to entry, like you had to buy the NFTs and connect a wallet, and you had to know how to interact with crypto to get involved in the game. Even though they had those barriers, they did an amazing job educating people about how to do that who hadn't necessarily played with crypto before. So they are a big inspiration. As I said, not
Mhm.
specifically the gameplay, but what they
Right.
did with the blockchain and acting as a funnel, right? A huge funnel. And they've had millions and millions of players in their game. And we hope to do something like that as
Mhm.
well.
Speaking of barriers, I've always the one of the reasons. So I'm not specifically an Algorand channel, but I end up doing a lot of content on Algorand because it seems to be the easiest to use for me.
Mm,
I felt like the projects on it tend to be good. They tend to be user friendly. Just a lot of the complaints I have of Web3 in general aren't usually on Algorand. Sometimes they are.
mm.
And so I wanted to ask you, is that one of the reasons that you guys chose to build on the Algorand blockchain? Because it just seems so, at least from my perspective, it seems user friendly. I don't know if that's the same with the low transaction fees. You don't get that like spend $40 on Ethereum
Yeah,
to send $40 on Ethereum, that sort of thing.
totally. Yeah, there's a few reasons, and uh, fundamentally the tech is great. The blockchain is really well thought out and developed, and there's a low cost of transactions, and the transactions will always be low, which is perfect for a play to earn game, which is going to have thousands and thousands and thousands of transactions every
Right.
day. If you have players interacting with the game, if you have a big player base, you're going to have a large number of transactions. So those costs need to be low and they need to be fast. And the blockchain has to be scalable. And Algorand achieves all of those things. But also, we think Algorand's going to be a blockchain that's around in the future. It's carbon negative. So
Mhm.
it doesn't carry that burden of having it, and at least in the minds of the public, that negative perception of harming the environment. So we think that's a really good thing that they designed the blockchain with in mind, that it's
Mhm.
always been carbon negative. And lastly, it's still a developing ecosystem. So
It
projects
is.
that pop up receive a huge amount of support from the Algorand Foundation itself, but
Mhm.
also their partners in the space. So we benefit from that greatly, and so we think it's a great place to build
Mhm.
for all of those reasons.
Yeah, I was gonna say I heard an engineer from Algorand on a podcast say that like the total yearly energy use of like the entire blockchain is like 10 like US households basically.
Yeah,
And
it's like a
then
small street.
and then with like the carbon offsets, then it goes into the negative territory, which is pretty cool. But even without that, like just the standard usage, like you said, yeah, like it's basically one street worth of energy, which is crazy.
Yeah, so I actually just got a phone call for the last 5 seconds of what you said. So it blocked out my earphones. I didn't
Oh,
catch
oops.
the end of. I'm sure you asked a question at the end, but I heard you mention
Oh,
that the engineer spoke about, the amount of energy the blockchain consumes a year being equivalent to about 10 houses, and then the
yeah.
call came through.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I just reiterated that point. I thought that was really interesting. I think that's just one more feather in the cap of Algorand. So yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. We think they've got a really bright future.
and
And
it
there's a
sounds
lot of
like
development taking place on Algorand at the moment, so it's only going to grow over the next 12 months.
It sounds like Cosmic Champs is going to have a pretty good future coming up too. We're very excited about it. I know. Now, one thing I was going to ask you about before I let you go is the Cosmic the Cosmic Gold that's out now. Is that like that's like the governance token, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's our governance token, but it will also be used as a secondary play to earn reward token. So
Gotcha.
the reason we did that is because we wanted to make sure that the players of the game were also involved in the governance of the game. And the way to do that is to put some of the governance token into their hands as a reward for playing the game or interacting with the game. So we didn't want the governance just to be done by people who bought the token on Tinyman or another exchange and are holding it. We wanted to make sure that it was some of the gamers who are playing it. So that is the governance token. We'll also have a second token, which is called Cosmic Matter. And that's our primary play to earn token and in-game economy token.
Gotcha. Well, Matty, it's been really great talking with you today. Are there any thoughts that you want to put out to the Frugal BC audience about the game coming up?
Yeah, we have our first season of NFTs dropping in about 2 weeks' time. We're currently running a whitelist for people who want to buy in on that NFT sale. So if you want to join the whitelist, go to our Discord or our Telegram group, and you'll see all the information there about how to do so. So only people who are whitelisted will be able to participate in the first round of the NFT sale.
Nice. Did you ever say what they were going to cost thereabouts?
I didn't. So we haven't announced the price yet.
Gotcha.
But it's not going to be a lot. I don't even want to give a ballpark because we haven't finalized the price.
Okay, gotcha.
It's going to be tens of algos, not hundreds of algo or anything like that.
I'm down with that.
Yeah. We're not going to have a ridiculously high NFT price. We want to reward people early in the community. Yeah. To be, I don't know. We haven't said it yet. So it might be 20 algo or 30 algo or somewhere around that range.
Gotcha. Awesome. Cool. Yeah, it's sale coming up, and then closed beta at the end of this quarter. And it sounds like, I think you said open beta at the end of the next quarter. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So the NFT sale is happening in a few weeks, and then the closed beta launches for those NFT holders at the end of June. And then there'll be an open beta that'll happen sometime in the next quarter. So the NFT sale will still be able to participate in the beta. And then the first version of the game will drop late in Q3.
Okay. Awesome. Well, Matty, it's been really great talking with you today. Thanks for sharing all your knowledge and insight with the Frugal BC audience. I appreciate it. And you guys take care. We'll see you in the future.